Hi and welcome back to the show. Today I feel very fortunate to sit with great musician Rickard Rosenwinkel. How are you?
How's it going?
Good. Born 1970 in Philadelphia, into a household with music. Both your mom and dad played music.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and your first musical moments?
I started taking piano lessons when I was a kid, and I had a band with my best friend Gordon. He lived across the street, and he played drums, and I played piano, and I started writing songs, right away. And we had a band. We would play concerts for the neighborhood, and then we got into hard rock, and I picked up the guitar, and we had bands all through our childhood, and a lot of our friends had bands as well, and there was a lot of music. My father's a pianist and my mother's a pianist as well, and my brother Eric was playing guitar too, so we would both take lessons together. Gordon, my friend, and I, we had a band called Predator, rock band, and I started getting into jazz when I was a teenager, and our paths kind of split. He went with rock and
Electric Light Orchestra?
Yeah, he plays in ELO. Yeah, exactly. Now it's called the orchestra because Jeff Lynne's not involved, but he's doing that, and he's still playing, and so I got into jazz, and
Because you also got jazz from home. Your daddy was improvising and sort of playing the old standards.
Yeah, my dad would. He would get a book of songs of standards, and he would kind of half read the arrangement and just make up the rest on his own. And he was very. He still does that. He's pretty incredible. He'll play All the Things You Are or something like that, and he'll go off and create new sections of the song. So I was always listening to him. On a Saturday morning, I'd be in bed upstairs, and he'd be downstairs playing, and I would hear the music. So I have a lot of his music in me, and my mom is also a classical pianist, and she is still very serious about it. She practices all the time and works on pieces, and so she would always be playing lots of music in the house.
Because I know already 9 years old, you started as a pianist yourself, and then around 12, you shifted to guitar. Was that more like a macho instrument, or more you felt like that was...
Well, it was rock,
Right.
It's like Randy Rhoads and Ozzy Osbourne,
Right.
and Zeppelin and The Who and the Kinks and
Kiss?
Pink Floyd and the Kiss. Yeah. So I was really into that, and I was really into Motown. My mom would bring home hit albums, K-Tel hit compilations, of the hits of the day, and it was in the 70s, so that was a lot of Motown and ABBA and Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and stuff like that.
It's
so
like what Duke said, there's only two types of music: bad music,
yeah,
and good music.
And good music. So there was a lot of music around, and when I was in high school, I started getting into jazz and going to jam sessions and listening to Coltrane and to a radio station in Philadelphia called WRTI, which was a great radio station. And
so how was the scene in Philadelphia? I know that you had Blue Note there.
Yeah.
There were jam sessions around, and
yeah.
So how old were you when you sort of went from rock more to fusion or to jazz?
I guess I started getting into progressive rock like Rush. I was really into Rush when I was 13, 14, and from there I heard Spyro Gyra when I was 14, and I was really impressed by that, and I heard Steve Kahn, Casa Loca, and then when I was probably about 15, I heard Pat Metheny and John Scofield and Bill Frisell, and they just completely blew me away. And I found Pat Metheny's music so beautiful. I would just run down the street with the headphones on, singing the melodies, and Scofield, I would go and hear him play, and he would just explode my brain with groove and funk.
A little bit later on in your career, you played with Scofield in the Hollow Body.
Yeah.
So then later you went to Berkeley and you studied with like-minded musicians. How did those years, I know you stayed there for about 2.5 years before you went with Gary Burton, but how did those years shape you?
Well, I met a lot of people there, at Berkeley, and I got a lot of experience playing with the musicians there. I would just take my guitar around on with my amp on a trolley, and just go to the ensemble rooms and I'd listen to if the music I liked, and then I would knock on the door and go in and either listen or see if I could sit in and play with a lot of people. So I got a lot of experience, and I met a lot of great people. That was really the real experience that I had was just meeting tons of people and being exposed to a lot of different approaches to music and playing a lot and practicing a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And going with Gary Burton, was that sort of the first heavyweight musicians that took you under the wings around that time?
Yeah, I guess you would say that.
Was this the same time as with Paul Motion, or
yeah.
Paul Motion came later?
Paul came a little later, but it was all kind of in the same sort of time period, in the same half of a year. And I was really amazed to get those calls. I was living with Seamus Blake, and he was taking messages from these guys, and it was, we were really excited and shocked about that. But those were the two gigs that the first real
heavyweight,
heavy gigs, yeah.
Well, we talked about Pep Athenaeus and Scofield before. They say in the 80s, how do you notice that a guitarist goes to Berkeley? They said, well, he sounds either like Pat or Sco, but in the 90s, now they sound like Kurt Rosenwinkel. And there is so many people out there, and how do you react to that when you go okay, there's another Kurt Rosenwinkel guy coming up there?
I mean, I just, it's not really any of my business, really, what people can do with what they want. I just want to become, as better on my own, as good as I can be. So it's cool if people like the style, but for me, I don't want to play the way I used to play.
Right.
So I'm always trying to get better. So it's everybody is in control or master of what their own path is. So it's a natural thing, to copy or be inspired by the people whose music you like. So it's an honor if somebody
so
likes my
been
music.
playing for so long. What motivates you, Kurt, to go up pretty much every day to write music, compose, arrange music, and play the guitar? What keeps you doing this day after day? Go on the road.
The sound of it. It's music is a never-ending deep story. So it's so enriching, and it's an incredible journey. So it's very exciting, and there's lots of music to make and lots of discovery to have.
Right.
So yeah.
And you've been playing with so many, except for your own groups, with people like Joe Henderson, of course, Paul Motion, Seamus Blake, Chris Potter. Was there any of those musicians in your career? I know all of them are important for you, but someone who shaped you that little extra as a musician?
Well, when I formed my quartet with Mark Turner and Ben Street and Jeff Ballard, that had a big effect on all of us. I was in my 20s, and we were rehearsing all week and playing our weekly gig at Smalls during the 90s, and that really helped to shape my approach to composition and just how to play, and it was very inspiring to play with Mark, because we would kind of bounce things off of each other just naturally, and so we grew together, and so his approach had a big influence on me, and also of Ben Street and Jeff Ballard. I think those guys really, we kind of developed our own sense of music together. So, yeah, I would say.
Well, you've been doing a lot of things in different settings, and you've been doing your big band. Where is Kurt Rosenwinkel 10 years from now?
10 years from now? Well, for my album that's coming out now, I started that 10 years ago. So, and it's totally different from anything that I've ever done. 10 years ago, the first songs started coming out. And so that's led me to this point now, and there's other music that is also quite different from anything else that I've done that is going to be my next album, and that's leading in a direction of music that's I've never heard anything really like it before, so I can't really predict. Hopefully I'll still be alive and playing music.
So, as you have been inspired by musicians when you were younger, do you have any advice to the musicians out there that are struggling, and this is a hard business, and just it can be on the stage, off the stage, professionally, or just as a person? What advice would you give them?
Well, for me, it's about the reward of music, and so I would just say, like, dedicate yourself as much as possible and go as deep as you can, and music will be the reward. Whether or not you're successful or not doesn't matter. If you can focus on your music and create music that you like and that inspires you, then you're successful. So I think the key to that is just being really dedicated 100% purely to the music, and it'll take you on the journey that you're supposed to be on, if you're true to it.
That's a great advice. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks.